Krishna to everyone. Okay, am I ready to go?
You're ready to go.
Okay. I'll just do a quick Jai Dwani. Jai Shishi Guru Gaura Gandharvi Kagidhari Shishi Radha Vinod Bihari Tukki Jai Nitalila Krishna Shnupara Stotra Satashi Shrimad Bhaktivedanta Shri Narayan Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Nitalila Krishna Shnupara Stotra Satashi Shrimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Ki Jai Nitalila Pravishna Om Vishnupada Stotra Satashi Shrimad Bhaktivedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Nitalila Pravishna Shnupara Stotra Satashi Shrimad Bhaktivedanta Tivikam Maharaj Ki Jai Nitalila Pravishna Shnupara Stotra Satashi Shrimad Bhakti Pragyan Keshu Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Nitalila Pravishna Shnupara Stotra Satashi Shrimad Bhakti Vaibhavapuri Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Nitalila Pravishna Shnupara Stotra Satashi Shrimad Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Nitalila Pravishna Shnupara Stotra Satashi Shrimad Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj Ki Jai Nitalila Pravishna Shnupara Stotra Satashi Shrimad Bhakti Kamala Govinda Maharaj Ki Jai Nitalila Krishna Shnupara Stotra Satashi Shrimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Prabhupada Ki Jai Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur Ki Jai Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babji Maharaj Ki Jai Shri Srinivas Shamananda Prabhu Trai Ki Jai Shri Jagannath Das Babji Maharaj Ki Jai Shri Rup Sanatan Bhattargana Shri Jiva Gopala Bhattadas Sagrasa Goswami Ki Jai Prem Sago Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavind Ki Jai Shri Antavid Mayapur Shri Antavid Kolatvid Janavid Modad Humarvid Budar Vipamaka Shri Navadip Dham Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Shri Shamakan Radhakan Yamuna Ganga Tulsi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Shri Giriraj Govardhan Maharaj Ju Ki Jai Charu Sampradaya Ki Jai Nrsimha Bhagwan Ki Jai Bhaktarashi Prahalad Maharaj Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai Samagata Bhaktavinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Gopamananda. So today I'm going to sing K Jabi Ke. So that's page 73 in our small songbook. Ke Jabi Ke Jabi Re Bhai Bhava Sindhu Pa Gaura Ke Jabi Ke Jabi Re Bhai Bhava Sindhu Pa Gaura Ke Jabi Ke Jabi Re Bhai Bhava Sindhu Pa Dhanya Kali Uge Jai Tanaya Avatar Chaitanya Avatar Gaura Ke Jabi Ke Jabi Re Bhai Bhava Sindhu Pa Amara Gaurange Ghate Adan Ke Adan Ke Jaraya Thaya Turaya Vadi Parama गौरा के जाबी के जाबीर भाव सिंधु पार गौरा के जाबी के जाबीर भाव सिंधु पार हरि नाम नौका खाने श्री गुरु कांगरी श्री गुरु कांगरी संकीर्तन खेरोया संकीर्तन खेरोया दुबाहु पासरी दुबाहु पासरी गौरा के जाबी के जाबीर भाव सिंधु पार गौरा के जाबी के जाबीर भाव सिंधु पार सबा जीव होइरो पारा प्रेमेरा बात से प्रेमेरा बात से परिया के जाबी के जाबीर भाव सिंधु पार गौरा के जाबी के जाबीर भाव सिंधु पार धन्य करे जुगे राजै कनय अवतार चैतन्य अवतार धन्य करे जुगे राजै कनय अवतार चैतन्य अवतार जय सच्चिदानंद जय गौरा हरि सच्चिदानंद जय गौरा हरि जय सच्चिदानंद जय गौरा हरि Satchinandan Jaya Gaura Hari Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Thank you.
That was really beautiful, Nalini, and yesterday on Sankirtan, Nalini really produced some thunder and lightning. It was beautiful in the heart of London. So well done. So nice.
Thank you.
Vanchakalpa Tribhischa Kripa Sindhuevacha Bhatijanam Bhavanabhyo Vaishnavabhyo Namo Namaha. Om again Shrimandasya Gyanjana Salakya Chakshuramitamina Tashmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shinada Pisunichana Tarona Pisahishna Amanina Manarina Kisnya Sudahari Hatena Kampam Susamikshamano Bunjana Vitma Kritam Vipikam Hitvak Papabividam Namaste Jivitayo Muktisa Daya Bak Vacha Vegam Manashik Krodo Vegam Jiva Vegam Rudapasta Vegam Hitam Vegam Yovisha Heta Dira Savam Apiman Pritvim Sasisyat Anya Valasta Sunyam Gyan Kamadyan Vritam Kalanya Krishna Shiranam Bhakti Uttama Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Well, good evening. Good very late evening for some. Good afternoon. Good morning for some. I love it. I love it. I love the fact that these programs reflect the breadth, diversity, and the way in which our family of Gurudev, Srila Gurudev, has no walls. Offer my Dandavat pranams to my beautiful Srila Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayana Goswami Maharaj. Offer my Dandavats to the entire Parampara, to Nityananda Prabhu, Mahaprabhu, Shri Shri Radha and Krishna. And I offer my Dandavat pranams to all of the beautiful devotees. I wish more of you would show your faces. Everyone's so beautiful. It's like it's like Krishna has 6 opulences, and the primary one, the Angi, is beauty. Everything else is a function of Angi. So we're part and parcel of that. Oh, thank you, Tara. I was thinking yesterday how beautiful you are when I saw you on Sankirtan. What a beautiful face you have. Yeah, no, my objective is not to embarrass everybody. But there's so much beauty in the necklaced garland of devotees that hangs around and adorns Srila Gurudev's neck that we facilitate weekly on this program. And I beg that this is another fantastic program. We never know what's going to happen. And each one seems ever fresh. We're actually on the 37th program out of 64. And some of you know that I like to do my little Star Trek thing. Oh, thanks for the little applause, that's nice. I like to do my little Star Trek thing so you know where we are in the 64 schedule. So 37 of 64 is the equivalent of 1:53 p.m. in a human day. because I'm such a complete nerd, I translate it into the day of Brahma. Knowing Kishori, he'll probably take notes and challenge me on it tomorrow, which I hope he does. But the equivalent where we are, if we assume there are 14 Manus in the day of Brahma, is that we're in the 9th Manu, and we're in the 6th Chatur Yuga, and we're 540,000 years into that Yuga. So with that incredibly important and useful piece of information to get you all back to Goloka Vrindavan, I'd like to summarize what beautiful speakers we have tonight. We're firstly going to go to Arizona, to Phoenix, and we're going to be listening to Srimati Angali, Didi, and we're going to have a little bonus 10 minutes with her friend, who is also going to join her, who is called Prema Datri. So there's going to be quite a surprise coming on today. I kind of know part of the story, but I think it's all going to be very electrifying today. And then we move up north to Canada, to one of my favorite parts of the world, British Columbia, to Sharanagati, to a beautiful devotee who I've known for many years, Sriman Venu Prabhu. Thank you so much for agreeing to offer your Pushpanjali. I don't take it lightly. We don't take it lightly, the Pushpanjalis you're all offering, because you're all offering your heart. Some of you are more shy than others. So we all really appreciate that you're willing to be, should we say, vulnerable in front of the family. But actually, it's such a sweet family. No one's judging anyone. We've had people that just start their Pushpanjali and break into tears within a minute. And that's beautiful too. It's not about oratory or skill or ability for rhetoric. It's all about expressing your heart for Gurudev. Our third speaker is a wonderful woman in Maui who I've known of for many, many years, but actually only met her on Zoom this year. Srimati Shyamapriya Devidasi, who's a very high energy, wonderful person. And I'll tell you why she has been very important in my bhakti, even though I've only met her this year. But I'll tell you that later. That's a secret little story for later. And she's over in Maui, which, if you know Maui, is really a very nice island to live in. Very heavenly planet. And then we come back to, I think we go, it wasn't clear, but I assume it's Murwillumbah in Australia. We fly by Zoom, which is as fast as mind, to Murwillumbah, and we go over to listen to dear Srimati Malati Didi over in Murwillumbah, Australia. Please correct me if I've got the town wrong, but I think that's what I've been informed. So we have various announcements throughout the program, but I really want to get the momentum going, get the speakers going. So I'm not going to make any announcements yet. We're going to go over to Srimati Angali Didi in Phoenix, Arizona, and I'm going to do a little introduction for her. And she's originally from, I think very fittingly actually, from Lake Pleasant in Arizona. She met the devotees in the year 2000. And there's a very nice story where she tried to evade a monk who was trying to ply her with the Bhagavad Gita. But she said that she made a mistake in reading the book. You probably read the cover first, and then reading the book, and her life has never been the same. She met Gurudev in Honolulu in 2005 and took Harinam then. She's the mother of two. Her children are called Naradi and Dai. And she honors the holy names of Siddhona Kirtan Yoga, and also goes out with a party with the ISKCON party on Sankirtan, which I find very nice actually. Anything we can do between the Sanghas is fantastic. So she goes out with the ISKCON party in Phoenix, I think on a monthly basis. She's got a very interesting story to share with you, and we've allocated a special 40 minutes, not 30, because we want to give a chance to Prema Dasi to speak as well in conjunction with Anjali Didi. So very warm welcome. Thank you for coming on the program. The floor is all yours.
Thank you so much, Yashodanandan Prabhu. We're good on sound?
Your sound is perfect.
So, going on time. Namo Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Narayani Tinamine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinamine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Ganadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Short on time, but this is very pertinent. The same song that I learned in 2000, of Holi of 2000, is what I sang twice for the last memory, and I will sing it now. And it is to honor both on this wonderful, wonderful Father's Day. My spiritual father, Nitya Leela Om Vishnupad, Sri Srimad Bhaktivedantas, Narayan Maharaj, and who I call my spiritual grandfather. And I grab his pinky toe every time I go to ISKCON of Phoenix. My spiritual grandfather, Prabhupada. So saying it properly, tongue-tied. It doesn't happen often. Sri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashoda Nandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. I heard from my godbrother that it is very important to sing this song because it holds everything. Not only it was Prabhupada's favorite, my spiritual father also would close his eyes when he would hear this song, and it holds all of the past times. So in this process, please forgive me up front if I forget any names, but it's only in the mercy of the Vaishnavas that I've been able to get this far. So you already got the idea that in 2000, I met the devotees, and yes, it was running away from Bhakta Jeremiah from ISKCON's Ganapati Swami book distribution team. I thought that $5 was going to make him go away and I could get to sociology class on time. Yeah, about that. I actually opened the book in sociology class and my life changed ever since. Fast forward to 4 years later, 2004. I was now a senior in college, going to get a very special crossroads when college ended, looking at who I wanted to have as my spiritual master, as my guru. Also noticing that communication skills, I was not that great. And the temple president of ISKCON of Heidelberg at that point said, you know, there is a very good program that you might want to join. It's called the Sattva Tov Institute. There's going to be a program this summer, and I think you're going to want to come to it. But there is going to be people of the other camp. And I'm like, what's the other camp? I hadn't heard such a thing. And I asked him, okay, are they like, do they do drugs? Are they evil people? What do I need to know beforehand? Should I bring a gun? I mean, what is it about this other camp that I need to be worried about? I'm from the West. I'm crass, and I also know how to shoot. Let's be honest. So sure enough, they were like, no, nothing like this, but just needing to let you know that this happens. Okay, I'll still go. And sure enough, when we went to Sattva Tov with Dira Govinda, Marielen, I ended up meeting the other camp. And it was through the heart of Krishna Mai, Fani Bhushan, that I see it's like, these are regular people just like me. What is so insane about this? On the drive back to Paris, I got a little bit more of the history that I did not know existed prior to everything. And there is a saying that if you do not know history and you don't get angry or mad or sad, you're not really learning all the history. Sabir Chand Prabhu gave as much as he could and being respectful, and he very much was. But I was able to see that after 4 years of being in the movement, singing in different parts of the world, the exact same Samadhi pictures that show Prabhupada's Murti, I'd always seen cropped. It was in that summer when I finally saw the expanded picture, and that this god nephew by the name of Narayan Maharaj was there and was part of our story all along. I did not know about it. And sure enough, in October of 2004, when it went to the next communication skills group of Sattva Tov, I found out even more. In the process, I asked the spiritual master, and who is very dear in my heart, because he was one of the many that helped me guide to my Gurudev, Jai Pataka Swami. He and I, we'd been messaging for years. And I asked him directly the same question. I asked him this question: if hotheads and politicians were being allowed inside of the temples, why is it that such a senior god brother, the one that actually did the Samadhi, was not allowed in the temples? Out of the first time in 4 years where didn't matter where he was in the world, he would answer me, this was the first time he went silent. And his silence to me spoke volumes. He did not criticize, at least not to me. And to this day, I still go to Jayapataka Swami's Pushpanjali, and I hold him in my heart. He was even the one that gave Naradi her first grains. In the process, though, one thing led to another. Thank you to the Heidelberg devotees. And I found this other temple that was there all along, even closer than the one in Heidelberg to my house. One thing led to another, and I was about to graduate. And sure enough, that temple devotee of Germany was able to, somewhere or another, connect me to Brajanath Maharaj, Brajanath Prabhu. And he asked, well, do you want to see Gurudev? Of course, I want to see Gurudev. 17 hours flight from Germany, LA to Hawaii. I actually was able to do a almost direct flight to meet Gurudev in hiding at that point, to be able to ask him the exact same question. Why is it that politicians, potheads, are allowed in the temples, but you are not? And he answered me. He said, it's because I just say a couple of things that are different. Okay, here's my question to you. I'm going to ask, why is it that in ISKCON, we go and read the ISKCON sandwich, Bhagavad Gita in the morning, and Krishna book at night, if it seems like all of this is all towards Radhika, it's all about Radharani's girlfriend. Why am I reading the Krishna book in the morning and not just Krishna book in the morning and Krishna book at night? Gurudev was so funny. He started laughing. He said, it's because you're not reading it right. Inside of every single verse of the Bhagavad Gita is Srimati Radhika, where he is talking about her in code. You just haven't read it properly. Read it again. And when I was about to say, read it again. It took literally 20 years for Premadatri Mataji of ISKCON of Phoenix to actually get it through in 649 when I got it. And truthfully, I didn't even get that far if it wasn't that for the people there, Rajanath Prabhu, Madhava Maharaj, when I asked him, will you accept me to be your disciple? Here I am expecting that he was going to say, like, at that point, I had heard the stories where he was pretty infamous for come back in 3 months, come back in 6 months, 1 year, 2 years. And yeah, he says, I will accept you. Come back tomorrow. I'm like, what? Tomorrow? Okay. Showed up with a tray of fruits. And sure enough, he goes ahead and looks at the entire tray of fruits that I had bought from Safeway. And I'd even bought some fruits that I had never seen in my life because, again, desert girl. There was this one fruit that I purchased, which was a persimmon. Gurudev, out of the entire tray that had a little bit of everything, grabs the persimmon and goes to Madhav Maharaj and goes, what's this? You know, it's almost like saying, and what is this? If it wasn't, I was holding my breath and thinking, oh my goodness, Gurudev is not going to accept me because I don't know how to pick fruit. But sure enough, he goes ahead and is looking at it, and Brajanath Prabhu says, don't worry, it's persimmon, it's good. So at this point, I go and get accepted out of all days Makara Sankranti. I did not know how important that day was until much later. And I only got to see my Gurudev very few times. Unlike so many people in this call that have been able to travel with him, I only had very, very few associations. I was able to see him at that same 2005, at that point, Hilo Festival, and I was able to receive this poster here from Shamarani Didi. And it was by the very, very insistent God sisters of hers that she finally signed at the little corner. That painting to me is priceless. That poster to me is priceless. I also found out in that festival to keep myself quiet because when I flew back to Phoenix, my dear God sister that is a disciple of Radhanath Swami had recently gotten excommunicated for allowing my Gurudev to speak at the University of Arizona Bhakti Yoga Club. At that point in time, I was only a couple years away from, I was already the ASU Bhakti Yoga Club president. So for her to have been excommunicated and I'm coming back, I knew, keep myself quiet. And I even went to Tucson, and when I saw other senior God members being quiet about it, we all saw each other to see my Gurudev. And we all kept quiet for fear of retribution. So for 15 years, living here in the desert, I stayed quiet on who my Gurudev was. I went ahead and people would play the "Who's Your Guru" game because they could see the threefold necklace, and all I could have is literally Shastra with me. But can't come New Year's of 2020. I'm like, that's it. I'm looking at the Didis. I'm like, that's it. I cannot go another decade without telling everyone. And if they throw me out, they throw me out. If I'm not allowed back in, I'm not allowed back in. But I am listening during this during this time frame. I need to go ahead and say it out of my chest. So at that point, I go to Shyamapriya Mataji. She is one of the topmost devotees at the ISKCON of Phoenix Temple. She speaks Spanish, so I speak with her. I'm like, Shyamapriya, te tengo que decir algo. I need to tell you something. And by this point, I was disgusting, absolutely disgusting. Snotty and everything. She's like, what is it? What is it? Oh, my spiritual master is Narayan Maharaj. And she's like, okay, but what is it? I'm like, that's it. That's it. My Gurudev is Bhaktivedanta Narayan Maharaj. And she's like, hold on a second. And she grabs Premadatri and she says in front of everyone, it doesn't matter what's happening out there. You here, your family. We are here together and we sing together. And sure enough, I was able to continue and Corona hit. And so here I am listening to Kishori Mohan and Sudevi on their morning classes. And they said something that really struck my heart. And something that I saw in that morning at Tucson when we were visiting all in secret. He's like, why can't they say my name? Everyone says Gurudev. And even in 2004, when I was there at the Sapatov Institute, I also got chastised. They say Gurudev. They don't say my name. And that's at that point, I'm like, Father, I know that I don't know much. I really don't know much. But I do know that you're family too. So I go to Premadatri and I say, okay, you can tell me no. You could have told me no before, but it's in my heart. This is the Vyasa Puj of my Gurudev, and it's the centennial. I know that because of COVID reasons, and Phoenix, by the way, has been COVID capital of the world, not once, but twice. So at that point, we had the entire temple. To this day, it's still on lockdown. We're only open 2.5 hours out of the week to protect the pujaris. And of course, in January, when I'm feeling it so heavy in my heart, I'm like, you can tell me no, but will you allow me to do the Vyasa Puj here in the temple and have the family back together? And I'm like this. And Premadatri Mataji said, yes. She said, yes. So all of us together, because I was only allowed 2 invitees, only 2 invitees. They couldn't show, but it was the most intimate, beautiful party. I wouldn't have had it any other way. All the pujaris, when they found out that my family homage to a family member was actually my Gurudev, they all showed up. They even made a cake by themselves. So it was disciples of Radhanath Swami, Jayapataka Swami, Premadatri Mataji was there, disciple of Gromapad Swami. We all got the family together. And I already think, I think you've got the pictures, Prabhu, of Bhaktivedanta Narayan Maharaj, Prabhupada, and on the wall, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, the entire family. I'm sorry?
Do you want me to share them at the end?
Yes, please, if it's okay.
Yeah.
That's my alarm telling me to hurry up. So in the process, we were able to share all together. It was gorgeous, but it was also Corona. So we could not be able to have anybody else there. It was a Thursday. We picked up and we headed out. But on the way of heading out, I heard Radhanath Swami give Pushpanjali to my Gurudev, which in process is the exact same almost redemption of my god sister that God excommunicated. And that Sunday, Valentine's Day, well, first and foremost, everyone that was there, every single Pujari got this book, because it is the perfect bridge between Prabhupada and Narayan Maharaj, both of them. She knows both, and she knows their heart, and she wrote it well. So on Valentine's Day, which was that Sunday, everyone that went to the temple that day for those 2.5 hours got this, got the Kunj Kirtan painting, because she is the eyes that helps everyone see a little bit of the glimpse of the world. And sure enough, history is starting to fix itself, I think, a bit more, because not even a couple weeks ago, this book came out. And unlike when I was a college senior, that I found out in passing and almost what it felt like in secret, my father is back in the history books. It says, Bon Maharaj, Krishna Das Babaji, Ananda Prabhu, and Prabhupada's god-nephew Narayan Maharaj soon arrived and sat on benches on either side of the bed, observing his consciousness, observing Prabhupada's consciousness. I feel that every single flower that I have talked about, every single person, I am not here by myself. It was God brothers, God sisters, God cousins, everyone that sees Mahaprabhu's vision. And yeah, thank you. Thank you for letting me be able to speak on Father's Day, because this is what I think my father wanted. He wanted to be remembered. Narayan Maharaj ki jai.
Beautiful, Anjali, Didi, really beautiful. Do you want to go straight into your friend, or do you want to go into your photos?
Up to you. Premadhatri Mataji, would you prefer to speak now, or do you want to show the pictures later?
Yeah, I think if she speaks now, then it will enrich and enliven everything you've said, connected.
Okay.
That's okay with Didi. So maybe you introduce her, Anjali.
So Premadhatri Mataji has been the temple president here at ISKCON of Phoenix for many years. She is a doer, not a talker, unlike myself, and definitely knows how to be able to see the vision and offering from everyone. Please give your dandavats, your hearty pranams to the mother of Phoenix, Premadhatri Mataji.
Dandavats, Didi. Please unmute yourself. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, sorry about that. Hare Krishna, everyone. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Thank you, Anjali, for the kind words. You exaggerate a little bit, but thank you for inviting me to join today in the celebration of memories of your Guru Maharaj. And I'd also like to extend my gratitude to Yashodanandan Prabhu for giving us the opportunity to speak today, and a very special day, Father's Day. So very fortunate for Anjali to speak today on Father's Day to make the offering. So congratulations. And it's a special program. I never met His Holiness Narayan Goswami Maharaj, but it is so nice to see today that all the spiritual sons and daughters come together to remember and pay respects to a spiritual father, the spiritual master, and for many of us to learn a little bit about an inspiring Vaishnava. This is an example of cooperation, and when we come together, work together for the satisfaction of our spiritual master, everything else is covered. So we always should serve for the pleasure of our spiritual master, and ultimately Radha Krishna will benefit, for all of us. So in the mornings we sing Guru Ashtakam, and the first line of the prayer says Samsara Davan Nanalita Loka Tranaya Karunya Ganaganatvam Prapasya Kalyan Gunaravasya Vande Guru Shri Charanaravindam. Recently, I heard a lecture by Srila Prabhupada in regards to these prayers, and he speaks. He says that this song is offering obeisances, particularly to the spiritual master, and the symptoms of the spiritual master are described in this prayer. The spiritual master has two kinds of symptoms. One kind is called constant, and the other kind is called temporary. So the first verse, Prabhupada says that the constant symptom of the spiritual master is that he can deliver his disciple from the blazing fire of this material existence. That is the eternal qualification of spiritual master. We should always remember that the spiritual master is in the disciplic succession. The original spiritual master is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He blesses his next disciple just like Brahma. Brahma blesses his next disciple just like Narada. Narada blesses his next disciple just like Vyasa. Vyasa blesses his next disciple, Madhvacharya. Similarly, the blessing is coming just like royal succession. The throne is inherited by disciplic or hereditary succession. Similarly, this power from the Supreme Personality of Godhead has to receive. And the nature of the Lord is that he manifests his compassion through his dearmost devotees. Therefore, the Guru is the embodiment and reservoir of Lord's mercy. The Guru is the means by which the Lord expresses his love and compassion for the conditioned souls. It is said in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila 145, that by the mercy of Krishna coming through the Guru, the disciple is delivered. The Guru is the means by which the conditioned soul can become connected to Krishna. Krishna in his original transcendental form is far beyond the reach of the conditioned soul's senses and mind. But in his form as the Guru, he is accessible to the conditioned souls. Nobody can preach, nobody can become a spiritual master without obtaining the power from the right source. Srila Prabhupada and His Holiness Narayan Goswami Maharaj both received the power and instructions from the spiritual master, Sri Bhakti Saraswati Thakur, Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur, and they followed his instructions. Similarly, you can become an instrument for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and your Guru Maharaj in spreading Krishna consciousness. Anjali, it may have taken you 15 years or more to feel comfortable speaking about your Guru Maharaj, but it has been great to see the way you have nicely started to do service and participate in the various programs at the temple. I'm very proud of you. And you already mentioned, and you have a generous heart, giving all those posters and books to the pujaris. You are, you have a great soul. And as we celebrate the 125 years of the appearance of Srila Prabhupada, we at ISKCON Phoenix are offering the best thing we can, our love. And Srila Prabhupada very clearly said that our love for him will be shown by how much we cooperate with each other. So I'm happy that we are coming together to celebrate such exemplary Vaishnavas. And by doing so, Sri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj is being served, and he will be pleased. And by pleasing him, Srimati Radharani will be pleased, and ultimately Krishna will be pleased. And I'm also happy to say that ISKCON of Phoenix will be participating in the World Sankirtan Day next month, July 11th. And you all are welcome to come to Shishi Radha Madhur Haridham in Phoenix whenever you are in our area. And right now we have a small temple in Chandler, but we have outgrown that facility, and we are planning to move to Phoenix in the near future, where we can serve our congregation. More than anything, we can serve our children better, having better classroom facilities, library, and so forth. We have, our facilities limited at the temple, but it's a beautiful temple. Our magnanimous deities keep us going. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak, and I wish you all the very best. Hare Krishna. Please forgive me for any offenses I might have committed to anyone. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for sharing and teaming up with Angali on this. I was going to come to Phoenix, but now she says that she, what do you say in America? You pack metal or something? You shoot guns? I'm a little bit worried.
It's all right. I got your back, Prabhu. You're good.
Oh, you're on my, okay, that's good. You're on my side. Let's show some of those pictures, right? So here's where my technology skills come into play. Let's hope I'm not as useless as normal. 1 second. Or maybe hope that I am, because it's usually quite amusing. Okay. Oh, whoops. Okay. Share screen, share sound, and share that, and share that. Okay, you take us, Andrew, you take us through it. So you explain the picture and I'll just tell me when to scroll forward.
Okay. So you can be able to see that in this picture, I am actually singing to our glorious Sri Sri Radha Madhavari that is on the opposite side, but behind me, you can actually see the Vyasa Puja and the Vyasa son of my father, Narayan Maharaj. And thank you, Janardhan Prabhu, for giving me that picture, because I couldn't find online a high quality enough to be able to make that big of a painting to fit the Vyasa son, funny enough, right there. So here I am singing the exact same song that you just heard me sing in the beginning, because I was so nervous, I could only sing Jaya Radha Madhava without choking and sounding like an absolute fool, like I am right now. So in the process, funny enough, you see me right there with the kartals being able to sing that. Prior to, because I was stumbling so bad, I actually brought my cell phone and and throughout the hall, the entire temple hall, you could hear Gurudev's favorite male devotee singer, Krishna Das Prabhu, singing Gurudev Daya Karke. And of course the pujaris understood it. I did not. I had to continue singing Jaya Radha Madhava. Please continue on the next one, whichever it could be. You can see Prabhupada right there in the corner.
I'm trying to click, but nothing's happening. Oh,
it's okay. Garuda is right there at the front guarding us all.
Yeah.
So here you can see devotees. The two gentlemen on the left are, this temple is at 101 South Weber Drive in Chandler, Arizona, at least for now. And on the left-hand side are two devotees of Radhanath Swami. If you go further in, I don't know if you can zoom in on the pictures, on the right-hand side is our beloved Divyasham Prabhu going ahead and fanning both my Gurudev, and at the same time you can see Prabhupada, and he's fanning the chamara to them. He is a devout disciple of Jayapataka Swami, and they were all there. And he told me, okay, Narayan Maharaj, good. From there, this is where I was trying to sing, and Partasar Prabhu was definitely helping follow along to be able to say Mangacharana and my obeisances to my father. And you can see Sri Sri Radha Mahavarahi right there in the back. So they were able, so the deities were able to take darshan of God nephew, God uncle, and Param Gurudev, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, all of them together.
That's it.
That's it? Oh,
So
that's it.
have I missed anything?
There was some other pictures where you could see all three of them together. But it's okay. If they want to hide themselves for now, that's okay.
Okay, beautiful. I really liked what you were saying a lot earlier, Anjali, about Gurudev. I mean, one of Gurudev's specialities, which you pointed out implicitly, was that he explained to us always why we do everything. So when you're asking him, you know, why aren't we worshipping Radha, and he explained that to you, it reminds me that actually when I went on the share, you could see I was looking up that article. Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, there's a wonderful, I won't tell the pastime because I won't do it justice, but it's really worth looking up, where Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur is immersing himself in the Kama Gayatri mantra, and he's missing 1/2 syllable. And he finds that 1/2 syllable as basically Radha, and it was only through his experience of connecting with Radha that he fully was able to absorb himself in that mantra. So you really encapsulate that in your explanation of Shri Gurudev's Katha, because we shouldn't be thinking about, it's not Radha or Krishna, it's Radha and Krishna, and to understand both relationships. Go on, Didi. Did you want to say something?
I'm right there with you, Prabhu.
Yeah.
We're all one family.
Which brings me on to my next point. Your sharing with Premadakri Dasi was beautiful, because what that really teaches us, and I think what's happening is there's some more maturity is coming into the Krishna conscious movement, where we realize that all Guru is one and many simultaneously. And there's huge diversity, but there's also unity in the Shakti of Lord Nityananda Prabhu. And I know very much in London, for example, I do a lot of service with lovely devotees who have Bon Maharaj or Madhav Maharaj as their gurus, or Siddhanti Maharaj. And there's no bifurcation or lack of clarity, because everybody respects each other's guru. And when one person who's a disciple of one guru celebrates or glorifies another guru, or glorifies their own guru, they're actually helping us to nourish our relationship with guru. So we need to see this not as some material competition, but as some beautiful, huge family where we have the diversity of these families across oceans and countries, across ethnicities, so much diversity, but everything can be reconciled through Bhaktivinoda Thakur's plea in Bhakti Samaj, where he says that anybody who recognizes Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as either God, the greatest devotee of God, or merely just a great personality, he's in our society. It's such a broad vision. And this is where we need to get through as devotees. Which brings me on to a quick announcement, nicely, before we move on to our next speaker, which is in honor of that and in celebration of that. And I have to say thank you very much for your appreciation of me facilitating your seva, but actually there's a whole beautiful team here of many devotees of Yashadari and Shyamapriya, Madhuri, Manini, Chandramukhi. We have lots of wonderful devotees who kind of go fishing in different countries for both devotees that really want to offer Pushpanjali, and some that take weeks and weeks and weeks to fish for. The ones that try to get away are the exciting ones, you know, you really want to pull them in. But this Zoomathon, you might remember we put on a program which ended up being a 59-hour Zoomathon, a Yuga First glorifying Gurudev on his 100th appearance day. So this Zoomathon will work backwards from the 24th of July, which is Guru Purnima, and 24th, 23rd, 22nd, we are targeting a 64-hour Guru Purnima, where we're going to be honoring 14 Nitya Leela Gurus from the likes of obviously Prabhupada and Gurudev, but people like beautiful acharyas like Bhakti Rakshak Shida Maharaj and Bhakti Kimla Govinda Maharaj and Srila Bhakti Maharaj and Ballabh Tirtha Maharaj and Vaman Maharaj, of course, and Tripikam Maharaj, and yeah, the whole lineage of beautiful gurus. So to be able, and it's not going to be like, okay, we're going to have 2 hours of one guru and then 2 hours of another guru. We're not going to mix the gurus up like too randomly. It'll be like an hour here, an hour there. But it's going to be a bit of kitchery in that sense, and because we want it to be something where everybody's relishing each other's guru, and thus the kind of implication, the message we're getting out is that we nourish our own relationship with our own guru by connecting with other gurus. We can't lose by connecting with Parampara. So watch this space. An epic video is going to come out promoting this, and we're starting to book in devotees all over the world to speak, and it's very exciting. It's really beautiful. I think it's going to be a very, very wonderful mood, and it's never been done before. I'm going to hand over to Yashadara Didi, who would love to say something on this subject. Didi, welcome.
I actually was meant to be so quiet in this program, but somehow or another I couldn't resist speaking, obviously for my own ego. But I just wanted to add two things. Anjali Didi, your Pushpanjali. It's just so nice to hear Gurudev. And one thing that I'm learning throughout this whole thing is that by me just being me and highlighting Srila Gurudev's beauty, by trying to be somewhat of his character, it automatically invites so many other people to love Srila Gurudev, and you do that so beautifully. And I can only imagine why the devotees in Arizona love you so much, and throughout the world. So thank you so much for that. And we're speaking about Gurudev's Guru Purnima, and Gurudev used to explain how, and Gurudev himself used to show this example of how he used to embrace everyone and he never discriminated against anyone. And so we were thinking of what's the best way to highlight this and to highlight how to make Srila Gurudev happy. And the only way we thought we could make Srila Gurudev happy was to hold an event where we could glorify such Mahabhagavats. And so we're asking all the Vaishnavas that if you would like to come and speak about one of the gurus, you can please do it. Or if you know some devotees, like for example, we're looking for devotees of Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj's disciples, because there's obviously the few that we know, but I know there's so many more out there. So if you know anyone, please contact myself, Yashodananda Prabhu, Sham Sundari Didi, and also if you want to come and speak about Srila Gurudev, that would be amazing too. Okay, I'm going to leave that with you guys. I'll speak to you soon. Haribol.
Beautiful, thanks, Yashadari. Sean, did you want to add anything?
No.
Oh, sorry. Oh. We can. I'm sure we can be.
Beautiful. It was so beautiful that both the Didi spoke on the program. Yeah.
I can see why, Anjali. I can see why Gurudev didn't let you off. He snapped you up quickly. He was like, "Okay, you're coming with me." Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Devi Kishore. I know it's really late there, but if you can manage to stay up any later, that would be amazing. We're now going to move to British Columbia, so somewhat north of Arizona, and I think a little bit west. It's a beautiful part of the world, and I've known this gentleman for a long time. His name is Sriman Venu Gopa, and he lives in Sharanagati in British Columbia. But his background is he met the devotees a long time ago in 2001, and there's actually, he got Harinama Diksha the very same year from Sri Gurudev, and he spent a lot of time at the Bangalore temple, I assume, with Sripad Bhaktivedanta Vaikanas Maharaj. So he would have eaten a lot of pizza. And he's very skilled at video editing. I've seen some of his skills, quite impressive. And he spent 20 years in India, actually almost 20 years. But he's now in the Vedic Eco Village in Sharanagati in British Columbia. And we're very lucky to welcome him tonight for offering Pushpanjali to Srila Gurudev. Prabhu, are you, I think you're there.
Yes. Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you really well, Prabhu. Beautiful. Are you
Okay,
able to
that's...
turn your camera on?
This is a really remote off-grid area, so we will be lucky if the audio works and the video would be pushing it. I'll also spare you my dramatic visage.
What was that?
I'll spare you my rugged farming visage, my face.
Okay, that sounds exciting.
I want to frighten the devotees, you know?
All right,
so, okay, yeah, should I speak for about 15 minutes then? Is that,
you
is that
actually
about right?
have more, you have more like 30, but if you want to do 15, that's also fine.
Okay, well, I guess I'll just start and see how it goes.
Sure.
Yeah, so thanks for having me on, and thank you to Gurudeva from Canada who asked me to come on today as well. And it's good to see everybody on the call here. Yeah, so I'll start. Jnanatirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Radhikaya Priyapane Shishimad Bhaktivedanta Narayanati Namine Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadadaye Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha. Yes, so first of all, before beginning, I offer my obeisances to my beloved Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivedanta, Nityalila Vishnu Vishnupad, Paramahansa, Astatar Sata Shishimad, Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, and all our Rupanuga Guru Varga, and all the Vaishyas and Vaishnavis who've come here today. Yeah, so I'll just speak a bit about my own experience, as people do. I hope that's interesting and helpful for our devotees to hear. So yes, I'm in BC, Canada, as it's known, and there's a valley here, Sharanagati Valley. It's a off-grid farming community, and this is pretty much where I first met the devotees. So I was in Calgary, in Canada. I was going to art school, and a friend of mine, he was hitchhiking on the West Coast. He met a kind of crazy devotee that he thought I might be a good match with. And so this crazy devotee, he hitchhiked all the way through the Canadian winter to meet me in Canada and camped out in my home. I was renting there, and told me about Krishna. And I had never really heard of Krishna to speak of, or ISKCON or any of these things. But I thought, well, he's hitchhiked all the way across the country to tell me about Krishna, so I'll give him my ear. And he brought me out of Calgary to a devotee some of you may know. His name was Haridas Prabhu. He passed away not that long ago, who was a very, very generous person. That's really one of the things that struck me with the devotees as a whole, is such generous people. He said, you can stay in my house without paying anything for as long as you want. And I just ask that you read these books here. I'll feed you all the sandwiches and butter that you want. And just please read these books. You don't have to do any work. And I thought, well, I've just met the guy a few days ago, so it's quite an offer. I didn't stay there all that long eating his sandwiches and butter, but we actually, this other devotee and I, we hitchhiked out here to Sharanagati Valley. And I met a disciple of Srila Prabhupada called Sripad Dudidar Maharaj, that some of you from Canada at least may know. He's been to India, but maybe not so many of you will know him. But at that time, he was running a center here in the valley, informally called Swami Mills, because there was a big sawmill there that a lot of the homes around here were built with. And again, he was also so generous, and seeing him and his spiritual practices and waking up each morning and chanting and putting on this big program for whoever would want to come, anybody could just come and stay and participate. I got a taste of what a temple is really in this remote area here, and how temple is such a generous place. It's a place that anyone can come and be taken care of and learn spiritual teachings. So from there, a group of us went to India. Actually, I should say before that, he told me about Srila Gurudev. So he was a disciple, Jitidhar Maharaj, is a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, and he was taking Shiksha from Srila Gurudev. So he introduced me to both of them simultaneously. So my introduction wasn't exactly through ISKCON. I was never formally in ISKCON, but I did read many of these books of Srila Prabhupada and was very impressed with how he was speaking so straight to material society, and how he was giving such a straight critique of how things are these days, how things are being run, and giving this taste of this great civilization, this Vedic civilization, and these profound teachings that these sages within that civilization were and are practicing. And then Dudidhar Maharaj, he said, and especially for the sweet touch, you can also read these books of Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Maharaj. And when I read his books, it was very much, I remember him speaking about Gopa Kumar traveling to the different regions of the universe and being introduced to this cosmology and these gradations of devotion. And I remember Bhakti Rasayan, Srila Gurudev, describing the moods of the cowherd boys and how they would sing to Krishna as he rested in the afternoon after cowherd grazing. And they'd massage his feet and put him in this soft, safe, ecstatic state of friendship, love, of Sakyabhav. And it wasn't long after that actually Kishori Mohan Prabhu and Sudevi Didi and Vishaka Didi was traveling. They were traveling together at the time. Aranya Maharaj, as he was then, they all came to town in this remote area at the same time, just a few days after I got here. So I got quite a dose early on. And just this impression of this world these people were living in, this international sangha, and also these teachings that they're swimming in. And yeah, all the devotees were so kind to me, really took me under their wing, and very, very personable, as well as these amazing teachings of tattva and this cosmic understanding, and learning about reincarnation and personalism and impersonalism and history, a different understanding of history. It's also just the friendship of the devotees that's very important for me. And I could see, I hadn't met Srila Gurudev, I could see, this person shining through them. They speak about this person often, and his influence, his kindness, his wisdom is shining through them. So after some time, an opportunity came to take initiation from him. So a few of us actually did that over the phone we went up a logging road here. It is quite a remote area. And there's a signal from a certain place that would go between two hills over to a phone tower in a distant place. And we were able to speak to Srila Gurudev when he was in England at the time and took initiation. I remember hearing his voice and getting the impression this is a very grave person, a very voluminous person, in the sense that there's a lot, he holds a lot, like a large vessel. This is a person who can hold many understandings and many relationships. And also a very humorous person as well, because he joked a little bit in the call also. And then before long, an opportunity came to go to India. So we went for Kartik. A number of us came from this side of the ocean. And this was Kartik, I think this was 2002. It was a year that Srila Gurudev didn't come for the beginning of Kartik. He was having some health problems, I think heart issues, and he was up in Delhi getting some treatment there. So he didn't come at the very beginning of Kartik. Kartik began without him, and this was my first Kartik. And, you know, for those of you who've been to Kartik and festivals in India, of course, I'd been to India before, but not in the midst of a spiritual festival like this. So it was quite amazing, this huge group pilgrimage. And again, the generosity of it all, this prasadam being given to everyone, just that people were just giving their lives in service, not wanting to gain anything by it. And this huge, generous festival, going to all these different holy places, hearing these amazing discussions about the Vrindavan that I couldn't see, about the Vrindavan that's also there, but not manifest. But through this katha, through this discussions, and coming from the previous acharyas, I was getting some glimpse into that Vrindavan. And I kept hearing, after the middle point in this month-long festival, we're going to go to Govardhan. And that name, Govardhan, sounded so resonant. I thought, like hearing a bit about Govardhan ahead of time, about the different caves that Krishna's playing in, and the something of the pastime of Indra, touched on that, didn't hear that until later in the month, and so on. And Srila Gurudev, he spoke from Delhi over the phone in the PA system, the speaker system of Rup Sanatan Gaudiya Math. And he said, I'm there with you in spirit, all of you. And I'm very glad that this is going on. And he said, surely I will come for Govardhan. And I thought, I'll meet him and go to Govardhan as well. And sure enough, the Prakma party did travel to Govardhan after some time. We were camping out. At that time, the temple wasn't built, sort of camping out in the temple nearby, which also wasn't built. And it's very exciting. And after some days, Srila Gurudev said, the announcement came, he's going to come today. So a big kirtan party was outside this little guest house near the temple where he was going to stay. And we were running back and forth and doing kirtan for hours and hours. And he was later than expected, and later than that, and later than that, and till eventually someone spotted the vehicle and he was coming. And it's one of these, obviously a pretty significant moment for me to see him for the first time. And just the physical effect that seeing him had on me was quite overwhelming. Everyone fell and gave pranams, and I also, without even intending it exactly, I kind of fell and gave my pranams, and I found myself crying, but I didn't know why. And later on the next day, when I had a darshan with him, at that time he went inside fairly quickly. He was tired and going to rest, But again, I started crying without knowing why. And I got the impression that this happened quite a lot for him because he didn't seem to think, oh, here's a grown man bursting into tears in front of me. How unusual. It was probably something that happened to him quite a lot. So he kind of reassured me, and just I was very glad to be in his presence. And my father, and actually the death of my biological father was part of what brought me to spiritual life in the first place, and the questions that evoked in me. And this was my second father, really, who would be my spiritual father to help guide me into spiritual life. So let's see how I'm doing for time. Not too bad. I'll go a little longer.
You're great for time, Venu. Great for time.
Okay.
And this is very beautiful. So just take your time.
Okay. So, yeah, and the shelter that Srila Gurudev gave me and gave others and gives others is so remarkable, because on one hand, he himself is a fully remarkable personality and full of love and caring and understanding and wisdom, and guiding those who wish it through their hearts. I felt a connection with him in my heart, especially since I took initiation on the phone in Canada. I felt this strong presence of connection with him, and I kind of felt like I'd known him before, which is probably something a lot of disciples have, something of that experience. Not that I knew, he would look exactly like this or that kind of thing, but more that I'd had a sense of having spiritual guides before that I hadn't met, invisible guides, like guardian angels. And when I met him, I felt like, oh, this is one of those guides. This is one of the main ones. And now he's incarnated. He's speaking and can ask him questions. And not only that, but from his side, it wasn't about him mainly. He was fully present in relationship with, again, those who wish to be in relationship with him and receive what he's giving. But he's bringing a whole sangha full of people and inspiring many different devotees to help me and answer my questions and be friends with me and help give a kind of structure in my life of daily spiritual practice and understandings, philosophical understandings, gradually, coming into that kind of structure, just like a father makes sure that their children have a home, have food, have good education, gives that facility. And the father's sometimes there with the child, but the father's always making sure that the child has what they need. So I felt like that this whole sangha is Srila Gurudev's kindness. Not just to me, obviously, individually, but to everyone. But on a personal level, I felt, I felt like it's a gift to me. And also, especially in Kartik, that first time, I remember hearing about all these different acharyas, because of course in Kartik there's many different appearance days and disappearance days of acharyas, like Srila Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Rakshit Sridhar Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Pragan Keshav Maharaj right at the beginning, and others. And Srila Bhaktivedanta Vaman Maharaj hadn't entered Nitya Leela at that time, but his disappearance also during Kartik. And Srila Trivikar Maharaj, I think, hadn't entered Nitya Leela at that time either. That was just shortly after I came. But sitting with the other devotees and hearing these glorifications of the different Vaishnavas, and also the Rays of the Harmonist magazine, which is full of articles by different Gaudiya acharyas, like Srila Bhakti Madhav Maharaj and others, and the other ones I mentioned, and more. So I very much felt like I was coming into like a great hall, a hallowed hall, where many great souls had spoken and had left their imprint, and that we could hear about all the great deeds that had been done in this place, to use a metaphor, invited into this assembly of saints. So that was very remarkable for me, and coming as I was from modern culture, you know, which has lost so many elements of what a true culture is, such as learning how to face death, learning about life beyond death, learning about cosmology, the source of things, the relationship with God, coming from a background where so many gaps in modern culture, that I was so much wanting, like to have those filled, to enter into a fuller culture. So he orchestrated that in my life, to learn about those things and come into this great culture. And as time went on, I went back and forth a bit from West to India over the years and so on. But I did, as you said, Yashodhananda Prabhu, I spent quite a bit of time in Bangalore, eating pizza, amongst other things. We did do other things as well, occasionally. But that was also under Srila Gurudev's umbrella. And Shripad Vaikanas Maharaj, yes, he was and is heading up the temple there, and he became like an uncle, a mentor and a friend, who, under Srila Gurudev's auspices, arranged that temple was a very healthy place for a young man to grow up. I was in my 20s at the time, but we keep on growing up, hopefully until we die and beyond. But I certainly have and had a lot of growing up to do, so that there was that structure to be in, and that camaraderie of other young men, and the company of elders like himself and like other seniors who would come and visit, and during the festivals, so as to come into a family, really, and having a chance to step forward and learn cooking and kirtan, and use some skills in graphics and video editing and so on, to help with preaching there. We did a lot of book distribution and publication of books in South Indian languages, and some traveling and book distribution in kirtan in South India to some extent. So it was very edifying, very good way to grow up, I'd say. And I'll begin to wrap up here, although I know I have more time, but I feel like what I have to say today is coming to a conclusion. And time went on, and Srila Gurudev departed, and of course for all of us that was a huge marker in our lives. And it's said that, I remember reading Shri Guru and His Grace by Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj, that after the Guru's departure, the test comes upon the disciples, that what have you taken into your heart? How have you taken your Guru's teachings? It's easier when you're part of a wave, you know, like a dolphin on a wave, going with all the others. And it's happening. A Kartik festival, Navadip festival were so much like that. Srila Gurudev would say, when you, just by attending and participating, you're doing all the 64 limbs of bhakti. You just go and try to do what other people are doing. But after Srila Gurudev's departure, there's some time opportunity for introspection is there, that I've taken all these things on board, and I profess things. I've preached to many other people. So what is it that's truly real for me? What of this have I really received? How do all these teachings, what is my relationship with them? And here I am again in Sharanagati Valley, pretty much where I began my sojourn in bhakti. And there's, in a different part of the valley, I'm in the south end now, I was in the north end before, pretty close. Also doing gardening and being with the land and so on here, which I find really helps me to be grounded and to digest all the different experiences I've had and lessons I've been exposed to and wonderful people I've met. So I find myself here just kind of digesting everything that happened and trying to integrate all those teachings and the opportunities that I've had, and trying to integrate that with who I am and my life here in this birth. So that's from me. So my pranams to Srila Gurudev and everything he's given me and is giving me, and pranams to all the devotees here, especially the hosts who've helped organize it, and really appreciate the opportunity.
Dandavats, Prabhu. You've got a lovely meditative voice. I'm sure you could use that for something.
Hope I didn't put anyone to sleep.
Well,
or if it's late, then maybe that's good.
But in a kind of a good way, not like in a sleepy way, but in a kind of a very, very calm way. You seem very Piscean to me. I'm getting this kind of Piscean, beautiful Piscean energy from you. I like the way you talked about, I think you said something like, I'm not sure if you used the word floating or swimming in Gurudev's teachings, that we were all swimming in his teachings, how deep and how broad his teachings are, and how it's a kind of an ongoing integrative process. There's a really beautiful share, Prabhu, and one thing I really got from it is how important it's been for you to recognize the beauty in Gurudev's devotees. That's really been an important part of your journey, to make you feel like you're part of a sweet family, and to see how Gurudev actually appears or manifests actually through our behavior. It reminds me of a story, Dilip Prabhu. Some of you know Dilip. He's from London, and he's Indian born, but's lived in the UK since he was about 1. But his wife's father always lived in India, never came over to the West. Comes from a Brahmin background, and he's dead now, but he was very intellectually minded and came from that whole background of sort of cynicism about Indian gurus in general. He was just done with it, you know. But when he went to Gopinath Bhavan and saw all the ladies in Gopinath Bhavan, and then he saw Gurudev's pictures, he actually, for the first time in his life, did Dandavat pranams to them, because he could see a guru that is so loved and emanates this kind of behavior through his disciples has to be the real thing. I think that's a really beautiful example of Gurudev's magic.
Yeah, definitely. I just mentioned, I remember the year after Srila Gurudev's departure, I was in Badger. So it was the first annual Disappearance Day festival of Srila Gurudev. And Kishori Mahaprabhu and Sudeva Didi were there, and they were doing the emceeing. And a lot of devotees came. young and old and all different, you know, natures, funny, serious, the whole range. And it was, you know, we were up and down and crying and laughing, and it was just intense, many hours each day. And my overall impression at the end of it was that really what every speaker had in a sense done the same thing, although they'd spoken on a whole range of, you know, experiences with Srila Gurudev and teachings. Each one had come up and said, look, here's where Srila Gurudev is in my heart. That you know, here's where he is for me. And yeah, to see devotees that way. I mean, you know, I'm disagreements with devotees and different, you know, decisions in life and so on. But I pray to be able to keep that vision, even if I'm like angry at a particular devotee, that, you know, that Krishna's in their heart and Srila Gurudev's in their heart. And, you know, I would hope to be seen in that way. So yeah, try to do that.
Everything becomes beautifully reconciled through Gurudev's heart. If we keep him in the center, everything can make sense, and we can give up our small resentments and envy. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much for actually your connection was great. And,
that's good.
Yeah, we heard you really, really well. It sounds like a very idyllic kind of rustic place you live. Very
it's both
conducive for bhakti.
Yeah, it's nice here.
We have a comment from Jagatam Didi wanted to say something about something that Premadatri Dasi said earlier. So Jagatam, please contribute.
Thank you. I'm sorry I'm a little bit late, but I felt really moved and inspired to say something to Premadatri. I don't know if she's still here with us. Her name's on the participants list. But just to express my appreciation, really, for her joining us on this conference. I understand from what you both said how much love you developed for each other throughout your years of service together. And love, I think love conquers all. Love goes beyond all barriers, including ecclesiastical barriers. And I was so much appreciating her, that she was there with us. And because it's just so rare, really. It's so rare for anyone, you know, especially in a position of authority nowadays, to break out of that kind of barrier. It's a very institutionalized programming. It's very rare. And I can see that it is because of love that this has happened tonight. And I just want to express my appreciation to Premadatri Prabhu for being with us and expressing her love.
Thank you, Jagatam. I really wanted you to share that, because knowing you for many years, I feel that you really represent the courage of breaking out from the so-called institution into the garden of love of Gurudev's heart, and that you hold out as a value, as a deep value of Krishna consciousness, a deep sense of Guru is one and non-sectarianism. So I'm really glad you made that comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Yashoda.
So we're now going to fly all the way over from British Columbia, south and west, to a beautiful island I've had the good fortune to go to, called Maui in Hawaii. It's actually, I think, probably the nicest island in Hawaii. We're going over to Srimati Shyamapriya Devi Dasi, who met the devotees in 1984. And she said she found herself surrounded by devotees, even though she was actually brought up as a devout Christian. And she met Srila Gurudev in 1997, took Harinam and Diksha in the year 2000. And Gurudev encouraged her to cook. And there's a cooking story. I'm not going to steal her thunder because I don't know what she's going to talk about. If she doesn't talk about a particular story, I'm going to add to her story afterwards. I don't want to steal her thunder, but there's a really great story that I've been telling for years, and I only found out this year that it was her. I thought it was an Indian lady, but then someone did point out to me that what she cooked wasn't actually very Indian cooking. So I'm very excited to see if she weaves that into her story. Gurudev stayed with her in 1998, 1999, 2000, 2001, which I know from personal experience is a transformative experience in itself. And she loves home and public sankirtans with her husband, Chiranjib, and the family. So, Shyamapriya, I hope you're there. From Maui, a very warm welcome. Please offer your Pushpanjali. And if you're not there, maybe Manini could give you a little tinkle.
I'll reach out and see if she is. Okay.
We can always switch if she's got a time problem or something. Just give her a quick call. Is Malati on by any chance? From Australia? No. Okay. She's not. Okay. It's pretty early in Australia. What time is it in Australia right now? It's about 6:47, isn't it? Okay. Bear with us, everybody. Little small glitch. I may do an announcement to Malati's here. Great. Okay. Malati, if we can't find Shyama Sundari, we'll Shyamapriya, sorry, we'll switch the order if that's okay with you. But Manini is just trying to find her.
Hey, you showed up. You showed up, and you might want to switch. I'm still trying to contact her.
Okay, we'll switch. So we'll switch over to Australia to Srimati Malati Dasi. Didi, can you unmute yourself? Would you be able to speak of the third speaker instead of fourth? Is that all right? You need to unmute though.
Okay.
Fantastic. Okay, Dandavats, Didi.
I found the right button.
Great. Can I just say hello and just make sure you're...
Sorry about that.
Yeah, we can hear you really well. I'll just do an introduction.
Very good. Thank you.
Perfect. I'll just do an introduction and then, are you in Murwillumbah?
Yes.
Fantastic. Okay, great. So Srimati Malati Dasi's background, she met her future partner in 1991. I like this bit of the story. You met many devotees many times in the 70s when you were waiting in cinema queues. So that must be
Yes.
that makes complete sense. That's really funny. I'd like to know how many cinema queues and what films. You moved to Murwillumbah in 1994 and you started taking more associations. You ran the farm shop at the ISKCON New Govardhan Center. You met Gurudev in 97 and you took Harinam and Diksha. You didn't mess around. The following year, you took Harinam and Diksha, and you assisted in his traveling party. To be really amazing. And you acted as his nurse for a few weeks as well, which gave you a lot of close and intimate and special associations. So, with a very warm welcome, Murwillumbah, New South Wales, Srimati Malati Dasi. Please offer your Pushpanjali.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Namo Vishnu Padaya Radhika Pratman Shinshima Bhakti Vedanta Narayana Tinamani. Thank you very much. I think we must have a big crew of very enthusiastic and generous Vaishnavas that people are here listening to me now. It's quite extraordinary, very heartwarming. Thank you for the opportunity. So I'll begin by thinking of the teachings that I learned from Srila Gurudev. As Prabhu said, I was a relatively new devotee, only about 3 years reading Srila Prabhupada's books, and Srila Gurudev came to our area. I was encouraged to go and see him by my dear neighbour and my eldest daughter. Quick, Mum, you must come and see this fantastic guru. So I was very quickly went and saw Srila Gurudev almost from the first day he came here to Mawelamba. And I think at a time where I had many questions in our philosophy and I wanted to know more, and I found that Srila Gurudev offered a seamless movement from what I'd learnt from the platform of Srila Prabhupada's books. And so I found that there was no like reinventing the wheel. Gurudev didn't take me backwards or make any confusion at all. He carried me from that point where I'd learnt for the 3 years that I'd been reading Srila Prabhupada's books, and brought me forward. The 2 words that I learnt, I remember very strongly, and of course they're still with me now. When Srila Gurudev first came the first year, the 2 words I learnt, and you must forgive my Sanskrit pronunciation, is lobha and prayojan. So I learned greed and goal. And I learnt those 2 words, and they stay with me as a foundation for my practice from then on. Srila Gurudev was able to clarify our goal. And for me, this was illuminated my whole life in bhakti. So I had a clear understanding of where I was going. Not to criticize, but I found that was a moving forward from where I'd been taken to in ISKCON. It was like, I read then what Srila Gurudev had been instructed to do by Srila Prabhupada was to build on his instructions. And I felt that was very much what Srila Gurudev was doing. Some criticism came of Gurudev in our area, but because I could feel that, I was completely confident in his teachings. And then every year that Srila Gurudev came, in hindsight, you could see the systematic development of what he was teaching us. And every year, our topics would become deeper and deeper. We'd begin to learn the importance of Srimati Radharani in our understanding and our goal and our philosophy. So I felt in very, very safe hands that Srila Gurudev was teaching us and taking us to our highest goal. So very fortunate in this way. I'd also like to speak about Srila Gurudev's ability to connect with us. If someone, I know very, very much that Srila Gurudev wanted to become our friend, Bhakta Bandhav. He wanted to become friend of the devotees, and he wanted us all to develop a relationship with him. One of the ways that someone becomes your friend, a friend that you can trust, is that they can recognize you. You feel recognized, you feel seen by this person. And I know that so many people would talk about the experience of Gurudev making eye contact with them, perhaps only a fleeting eye contact in a class. And they would feel that Gurudev could see them, he could know them, he could understand them. And so I know that he had this ability to connect with so many people and to see them. The person would immediately open their heart to Srila Gurudev, knowing that he could see them and he was not critical, he was welcoming, he was loving, he was our ultimate friend, our person there to help us, So I'll talk now, I guess, about some examples of Srila Gurudev doing that, how he would approach the people and build on that relationship. And one thing that, you know, I had the great fortune to spend a lot of time with Srila Gurudev, as Prabhu mentioned, when he was unwell. And I had the job of helping in the house where he was, because I always had a very friendly relationship with the members of the travelling party, and would put my hand up to do jobs for them. So I was in the house a lot. I was bringing the shopping, helping with the cleaning, and then also being in the house and giving Srila Gurudev intravenous medication. So I had a great deal of time to spend with Srila Gurudev. And the mood and the affection in the house was thick. There was no visitors allowed. There was only the travelling party, and the mood of love and affection, and such a jovial mood, despite Srila Gurudev being unwell. Everybody knew he would get better. It was not a dangerous situation. You know, Gurudev needed a rest, but we knew that he would be okay. So the mood was very jovial. And Srila Gurudev, I think, was affected by that mood, or he may well have been the source of that mood, I suspect. And one of the jokes in the house was my accent. Now, of course, I'm going across the world and everyone can hear that I have a very Australian accent, won't go away. So there was a big ongoing joke in the house was my accent. Gurudev was getting better every day, as I said. We knew he would get better. So one day I'm sitting with him, just fiddling around with the medication, and he looked at me and he said, so what do you call me? And I had an inkling of where this was heading, you know? And I went, oh, my spiritual master. And he went, no, what do you call me? And I went, oh, Paramahamsa, you know, all the time avoiding what I knew he wanted me to say. And no, what does everybody call me? Everybody call me. I went, oh, Mahabhagavat, like this. And he went, no, I know what you call me. You call me Srila Gurudev, you know, with the most accentuated Australian accent that he could come with, you know. So much laughed. Everyone was very happy, but this was, you know, Gurudev's affection towards me. In Australia, it's very friendly to tease people. It's a sign of deep affection. So all the time, Srila Gurudev developed this mood with me. Everywhere I went, when I went to India, likewise, he called me out one time in the crowd, asked me, where is my laya? That was my elder daughter, is a lawyer, so he would call her that. Where is my laya? And I said, oh, she's not here. She's in England, Srila Gurudev. And he looked at me and said, oh, she is so much more intelligent than you. And again, you know, so much mirth, so much laughter. That this just is an Australian way to develop affection with somebody, you know. So this was his mood all the time, that he recognised who I was, what would make me happy, what would bind us together. So I know that with you know, you could see that this was evident with his interactions with people from all around the world when he came here, that he was able to connect with everybody in such a you know, unique and personal way. And so what to say, that I'm very, very grateful for the opportunity to have had that time with Srila Gurudev, where I was able to develop a more personal relationship with him and thicken that relationship. I need that to support my bhakti. I feel that I got a lot of attention because, you know, I have a different life, you know, more working in science, working outside of the devotee community. So I felt that Srila Gurudev gave me a very strong background to keep me attached to him, to keep me thinking in my bhajan. You know? So I feel very, very grateful for that opportunity of caring for him in that way. So, yeah. So thank you, Prabhu. I just want to share a little bit. I'm quite nervous, I must say, so I'm not so good at public speaking. So I'll just finish off there if that's okay. Was that long enough? Or?
You did great, Didi. And by the way, this isn't public speaking because the only people on this call are the family, so there's no public.
Okay.
So you're in very safe hands.
Oh, thank you. The internet makes me nervous. I'm okay in the classroom. I do a little teaching, I'm fine. But when it comes to technology, I'm just not that comfortable, you know?
Tell me about it. There's so many things that can go wrong. But don't worry. All we have to do is when it goes wrong, just have a laugh.
Okay, well, I'm good at that. You can tell I'm good at that. I've got many joking stories that I think Sheila Gurudev picked up on that. And, you know,
what I love about Australians.
Always
you guys,
laughing, yeah.
That's what I love about Australians. You like to have a good joke. They're normally a bit
Yes.
dark.
Yes,
the jokes.
very much.
And you're totally irreverent.
Yeah, very much. And this is what Sheila Gurudev did. He recognized that and saw that because of my nature, my Australianness, that he could have a lot of fun. And we did. That was the sort of mark of my nature. Everywhere I went, he would laugh at me and I would be so happy. You know?
I'm going to tell you a little story about Damodar Maharaj. You know Damodar Maharaj?
Oh, yes.
Who I love very much. I'm not going to give the details. It's a bit redacted. But basically,
I'm laughing already.
Yeah, exactly. It's very funny. So basically, we had a meeting of about 45 seniors, and I was facilitating the meeting. No need to explain what the meeting was about. Should we just say it was tense? And Damodar Maharaj came up with just the most inappropriate comment you can imagine. And a very nice lady from Delhi called Mrs. Somnath, who's married to Mr. Somnath, who's been a devotee of Gurudev's for many years.
Okay.
She voiced her disapproval. I said, Didi, I completely understand. Please understand that Maharaj is Australian. And then, and then everybody just laughed. And then that was kind of the end of it.
That's very funny. Funny.
What I loved about your sharing, and I think this is a real Australian quality actually, is it's very direct and very grounded. I loved what you said about Loba and Sadhya. I mean, those two words, and Lobe for Lobe as well. That name. Yeah. When Gurudev, when I found about Lobe, I was a little bit intimidated. But when I realized if I don't have Lobe, I can have Lobe for Lobe. And I was like, okay, this will really work. So
yes.
That was very special to share that. So thank you for overcoming your nerves. What did you want to say something else, Didi?
Oh no, it's okay. It's okay. I can tell you lots more stories. But
go on, tell us one story.
If you need it, you know.
Tell us one story before we move on.
Okay. This is funny. This is again accentuating the Australianness of our family and life here. But I was at the house, and Vrinda, of course, Didi also knew, you know, Srila Gurudev's humour very well, and she also appreciated the relationship that I had with Srila Gurudev. Was so much fun. And so she's sitting with Srila Gurudev one day and went, oh, Gurudev, here is poor Malati. You have so much affection for her daughter, Damodar Priya. What about Malati? And Gurudev went, oh, you have some affection? And he went, so little like this. And so I had like this, you know, pulling a face to match. And, you know, so that had me rolling around on the floor, you know. I found that so humorous. And so
he did like to tease his devotees. He did tease us.
Yeah, very much, you know, very much. And so this worked for me, you know, and I'm not saying this is more appropriate than one thing or another, but it worked for me. It connected me in a way. And so Srila Gurudev could go to the heart of somebody and see them and let them know that they'd been seen and that they'd been loved, that they were welcome, you know. He did the same to my mother. He even did to my mother. He connected with her, you know. And in a way.
Is she a Christian, a theist, an agnostic?
Yeah, she's Catholic. Yeah, she was a Christian. She had studied Catholicism, born a Protestant. And my children took my mother to meet Srila Gurudev at the airport. They made her drive across Sydney, took her to the airport. She's very lively. She could see there was fun in this, so off she went. and drove them to the airport. Srila Gurudev saw them there. Oh, you have come. The girls were there. Oh, Srila Gurudev, this is our mother, you know, our grandmother. This is our grandmother. So Gurudev moved everyone away and sat her right next to him. And you know, my mother's very fancy. She passed now, but she's very fancy, like very nicely dressed, lots of jewels, beautiful hair. So Gurudev, you know, could recognize with this, and looked at her and sat back like this and said, "So, how old do you think I am?" And then, you know, engaged with her like that. And she's like, well, you know, and he, well, I have an Indian body. You have a Western body. Do we look as old as you? And engaged in my mother in this way, in such a, you know, a charming way, and just captured her heart.
That's
you know,
beautiful.
just, it's so lovely. You know, he was almost flirting, you know, in a sweet sort of way, you know, approaching her, seeing her strong body consciousness and her desire to look good, you know. So he was not critical of that, but he utilized that to put her in his heart. And
Beautiful.
from that day, we gave her a photo of Srila Gurudev, which she kept in her lounge room. Everyone would come to the house asking, who is this man? Why is he here? Who is this? And she would say, he's a very important man. He's just like Saint Peter, she would say. And so she even had a little understanding of his position. And it captured her in this way. So his ability to do that, but without any judgment. You know, there was no, you should be this, you should be that. You know, it was seeing somebody for who they were, where they were at that present moment, and welcoming them, you know, acknowledging and welcoming them, you know.
He did the same. He did the same with my dad in Holland. He sat my dad next to him in front of 250 devotees and pointed to me in the audience and said, "Is he your son?" And my dad said yes, and he said, "Well, he's my son too, so we must be brothers."
Oh, see.
And my dad's agnostic, but it melted his heart. So.
Yes. So it just shows. And so I would only ever pray that we really glorify this quality of Srila Gurudev as much as we can, and try to be a little like that ourselves, you know, where we can look at each other, recognize each other, and be warm and loving, you know. And so for me, it's just all the wonderful things I learned in the back of my mind, you know, Loba Prayojan, my goal. I know where I'm going. I'm trying.
Sorry, you said Prayojan, not Sadhya.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, no problem. You know, just trying to understand, you know, how we need that little greed. I try and remind myself to try and get greedy for greed and do like this. So I hold all that for, you know, very dear. And you know, I read every week now. I'm studying Jaiva Dharma, and I'm ever so grateful for Srila Gurudev for giving us that book. I love it so much. But for me, you know, his ability to grab our hearts is preeminent. You know.
The number one. Didi, thank you so much. One. You don't seem shy. You don't seem nervous anymore.
I'm okay now. No, I'm okay. Thank you.
Bring it back on.
Thank you. Well, I've got a lot more stories, but you better let me go. Okay, thank you again.
Thank you so much. Haribol.
Thank you all the Vaishnavas. Hare Krishna. Bye-bye.
So we're actually going to travel east because the world is round, contrary to some opinion. And we're going to travel east and then north to Maui in Hawaii, where we're going to meet Srimati Shyamapriya Devidasi. I'm very excited to hear her story. We have a story in common, so I don't want to steal her thunder, but she met the devotees in 1984. She found herself surrounded by devotees, even though she was brought up as a devout Christian, and she met Gurudev in Badger, his second year in Badger, in 1997, and took Harinam and Diksha in the year 2000. Gurudev loved her cooking and really encouraged her to cook. And he stayed with her in 1998, 99, 2000, 2001, which is amazing to have Gurudev staying with you. And she loves doing home and public sankirtans with her husband, Chiranjit, and her family. So, Didi, sorry, I think we got the times a little mixed up, but no problem.
Yeah, I think that was my fault. I'm trying to do the conversions. Thank you, Shyamapriya, for jumping on. So appreciate
you. Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me okay?
That matters. We can hear you really well, and I'm handing over to you, Didi.
Okay.
Warm welcome in Maui.
Thanks, everybody. Pranams. I just need to correct one thing. Gurudev didn't actually stay in my home. He came to visit our home. He was staying in the Camp Pakusa in a little A-frame tent, and he wanted us to invite him to our home. But at the time, we had abandoned our home and run to Camp Pakusa for him, and so our home was a big mess. And we're like, oh no! But you know what it was? I think was that my husband had a promise from Srila Gurudev before he ever came to the West that he would come to our home. So I think Gurudev was like adamant to fulfill that promise that he said he would do. So we were in the, like 1 or 2 days into the camp, and Srila Gurudev approached me and he goes, I want you to invite me to your home. And I was like, oh God, I just felt so embarrassed, like, number one, that he would have to ask me to invite him. And number two, that I was in no position to invite him to my home because it was a big mess. We had abandoned it. So I said, please, Gurudev, please come to our home. And he goes, very good. And then he made an arrangement to come. So, so when he came, I think he was, just coming, like when he came to Maui, the very first thing he said once everybody had spoken something and he did his pranams, he goes, I have come to Maui for Chiranjib Prabhu. And of course, my husband would just start weeping on the spot, like waterworks, like what, and everyone's like, what, we thought we invited him. And he said this every day of every evening talk. The first thing he would say, I have only come to Maui for Chiranjib Prabhu. But Chiranjib, you have to realize, is before Gurudev even came to the West, was already in correspondence with him through letters, through Prankishore Prabhu. And also, he just loved Srila Gurudev like immediately upon reading his transcripts that weren't even published yet, and just realized who is this person, and just like he loved him. And then so Srila Gurudev had said, I will come to your home. I will come to Maui. And we were like, oh, what a sweet sentiment. But we had no idea he was going to fulfill that thing. So yeah, so when he came and he said that over and over, it was like he was reiterating, I've come here for you. And we just couldn't even embrace it. It was too much. It was just so glorious. So, and then on the second year that Srila Gurudev came here, the same thing. He came up on the, after the pranams and everything, and he said, I have only come to Maui for Chiranjib Prabhu. And then Chiranjib would just curl into a ball again. It was very beautiful. But yeah, so the first camp, the Camp Pakusa, when he first came, it was a very humble dwelling. Everybody had these little tiny Boy Scout 8 frames, and it was right on the ocean, literally just like 5 steps and you were at the ocean, and it was beautiful, clear blue water. And Srila Gurudev really liked this. He liked to bathe every morning, and my husband would take him out swimming. And then when he came back to camp, we were all completely blown away, and more devotees were coming from all over the world actually to this Camp Pakusa. We started out with like 25 devotees, and I think we must have ended with like 100 people there, but everyone was so fired up that people were coming out of the woodworks to meet this person and to feel that love and beautiful nurturing toward bhakti. So I had told Madhav Maharaj how grateful we were that they came, like, because we weren't the ones who invited him. Actually, Kedar Prabhu and Sarvabhauma tried to arrange it because they heard he was coming through. We just didn't think we had any facility or any hope of having him, and we had no money at the time. We were super broke. So when he arranged it, I was thanking Madhav Maharaj, I'm so glad you came. I don't know how to repay or anything. And he said, Madhav Maharaj, he's like, Gurudev has come only for Chiranjib. He turned out and walked away. I thought it was so sweet. So yeah, mind-boggling experiences here with Srila Gurudev, 4 years in a row. And we came to our home. I had made some muffins, and the muffins were, of course, on the restricted program of Gurudev's diet. Madhav Maharaj let me know, no, he can't have butter, he can't have sugar, he can't have, no. I'm like, well, let me just offer it. It was offered to Thakurji. I put it on the plate. So Srila Gurudev, while he was it was really personal and intimate that morning, and we were just in the living room. We had made an asana for him. We handed him this plate. He was popping raspberry in his mouth and looking all around and just talking with different devotees. It was very sweet and intimate. And then he was just handling the muffin, but I don't know. He's a mystical person and has great mystic abilities. at some point he put the muffin down, and then we all said goodbye, and he walked around the property, and then he left. Everybody left, and Vishaka was still kind of lingering around, and we were honoring some of the prasadam. We were hoarding it, actually. We weren't going to share it with too many people. And then she picked up the muffin and she goes, look at this. And the muffin had a hole in the bottom. It was completely empty, just a hollow muffin shell. So you could never tell that anyone had, and Gurudev had picked so much out of the muffin. He had this such a reciprocal energy that, however desperate you wanted him to accept something, he would desperately show you that he did, In my experience, I've had that experience with him so many times, just so beautiful. So that's the muffin story. And then when he came to our home, it was just being around him. You were on an all different level of consciousness altogether, and you couldn't think about your mundane arrangements or anything. It was really difficult. And I'm a major multitasker, and I just got dropped out. Like, I don't know what to do. I made a plate. Everyone was helpful. And when Srila Gurudev came to our house, and so many devotees came, and we lived in like a real, suburban area. So suddenly there's like quite a few people on the lawn in pink clothes and white clothes, and the whole neighbors are like, oh, what's going on over there? So it was really funny, but you just don't care. You're like, whatever happens, this is meant to be. We're fortunate. So Srila Gurudev coming to our house, and it was just every year he would say, I'm coming to your house. And I'm like, okay, Gurudev. And we try to figure out when are we going to get up there, clean the place, make it nice. It was hard because I was also cooking for the camp and stuff. But yeah, Srila Gurudev came in a really radically important time in my life, where just like in the samsara prayers, when Krishna's mercy becomes thick, then Gurudev appears, And at that time I was suffering so much in an ISKCON style temple with our teacher at the time was, Grihasta, and he and his wife I don't think they were really handling having disciples and treating people properly in the right way. It was just all assumed that everyone was doing their duty. And there was really no affection in it. There was no affection. When Srila Gurudev just was a personification of love and affection. So when he came to that temple, I think he came to the temple, and our teacher at the time decided to put up his Vyasa song next to Gurudev's Vyasa song, which was, it was kind of humiliating. And at this point in my life, I had lost so much faith, and I was so uninspired there, but I was still just doing my dry duty there and feeling like, where's the Shakti in all this? And how do we make advancement in this? And just, I was beating my head against the wall. I was so uninspired. And then when Srila Gurudev came, he came there. And when he saw the beautiful marble temple and the deities and everything, and he said, and this was Turia's big, like my teacher's big, pride and treasure was this big fancy ISKCON style in the middle of the jungle that he put up. And it was our everything, the deities and everything. You know how it is, ISKCON kind of mentality about everything being more important than the devotee. The deities are more important than the devotee, everything like that. So when Srila Gurudev, he came, he saw, and he said, this temple is very beautiful. So Paka, first class. And he said, but if it's causing everyone misery and pain, trying to maintain, collecting so much money, everybody working so hard, I think you should burn it to the ground. Everybody freaked out, like, what? Like the people who were going to freaked out. And the rest of us like, yes, burn it down. Because every time they would go off to India, it would just be a drastic, imposition on all of us to maintain the well, because the pump would always break. It was just like a nightmare. There was one or two devotees killing themselves on the main strip on the other side of the island making money. It was ridiculous. And we were no one inspired, really, And so when Gurudev said that, and then Shyamapriya, Gurudev was asking Turiya Prabhu and all the other devotees, what were the three internal reasons for the descent of Sriman Mahaprabhu? And nobody could answer this question. And some tried, but they would get maybe one thing or the other. And you know how it's so tricky verbatim, that answer. So he finally asked Turiya Prabhu, and he was like, he kind of also didn't, this was my guru at the time, kind of didn't know. And he said, what are the three internal reasons for the descent of Mahaprabhu? And finally, he asked somebody to speak. I think Prem Prayojan Prabhu said something and other people said things. And then he finally said, okay, now Shamarani, you tell. So Shamarani stood up, verbatim, perfect explanation. And then while she was speaking, my teacher was mumbling to his wife. And he goes, you should listen to her. She knows more than you. And it was like, what? You know, what was just said? And so the impression Srila Gurudev made when he came here was very profound. And when he came to that temple, and in defense of my teacher, he was also just bewildered by Srila Gurudev's energy and potency. And then Gurudev took him around the property. Turiya took Gurudev around the property and showed him Radhakund, Shamakund, all these beautiful things we had created there. And then Gurudev just turned around and he looked at him, he goes, you know, he was telling him, oh yes, I was the main pujari in Vrindavan at the Krishna Balaram Mandir for 2 years. He was kind of, you know, giving him his resume, you know, so to speak. And then Gurudev said, because you were so beautiful, that's why Krishna made you go there. You know, and he was like, what? And then he came to me, which was really awkward. He's like, what do you think he meant by that? And I think at that time, I think he was acknowledging this connection I had with this amazing person, that he was like, what did he mean? I go, what did he say? He said that because I was so beautiful, Krishna made me go to, or Prabhupada made me go to Vrindavan. I'm like, I think he sees your gopi bit, like he sees your gopi. And he was like, wow. And he like tripped out. And I was like, wow. Anyway, so then, you know, he came one more time. It was really awkward. And then after that, Turiya came to see him one time in the 4 times he came. And he brought his Vyasa song with him. So it was so gnarly. But one far out thing that happened was that we were doing the play of Srila Bhakti Pragan Keshav Maharaj getting lifted by that eagle, you know, that Leela. And one devotee had this tiny baby. So she put the baby in the play and I played the eagle. So I had these big wings and like a bird mask. And I grabbed this baby. At that time, my ISKCON guru was sitting next to Gurudev. You know, so Gurudev would sometimes invite people, you sit here. And most of the people knew better than to sit there, but he didn't. So he's like, yes, we're on the same platform. So anyway, I came by with the baby. I grabbed the baby. I scooped the baby up and I come flying by Gurudev. And I see my teacher and Gurudev. And I'm like, I just look at Gurudev, you know, like I belong to you. And I flew away. And then Nirguna Prabhu had been sitting right next to Gurudev at that time. And Gurudev said, you know that bird? Very intelligent. So I felt like the Gurudev was, you know, he used to do that. He would give little secrets to people because he knew it would get back to somebody with even more, you know, verve than if he had said it. That beautiful thing that he did. So that time, my teacher was next to Gurudev and he said, so this Prabhu is very nice. You should honor and respect him like this. And he goes, is there any, and then Turiya said, tell them we're the same. And Gurudev said, what? And he's like, tell them we're the same. And Gurudev said, yes, same. And he got up and he left the podium because it was the end of class. Everybody followed Gurudev. Not one person stayed with Turiya. Everyone followed Gurudev. It was just so trippy that he said that, yes, same. And then everybody followed Gurudev. And I had these cookies that I had offered and I was passing them around. Gurudev had taken some before he left. And then Turiya said, he comes up to me, he goes, I heard they're talking about me. They're talking about me. And I said, yeah, well, they're just wondering why you don't come, why you haven't come to honor him. And it was shortly after that when I totally just gave up that Sangha and I left. And I had permission, but it was really begrudging permission and kind of a not very nice thing. And then I was, of course, rejected after that and condemned. So that's why I actually got Harinam and Diksha from Gurudev again, because I had been cut off and condemned and everything. Basically, I felt I was just liberated and had been weeping so much to Krishna on the altar as a pujari, help me out of here, help me, you know, find the nectar. And I really think that Radha Kunja Bihari at that time really answered my prayers. They brought me to the lotus feet of Srila Gurudev and warmed my heart and stoked me up again. So yeah, pretty profound experiences on Maui. And we had some really good fortune in Badger too. Somehow my father paid my way to go to Badger because he needed something done, some sewing work done. So I was going to see him and then go see Gurudev. So I went to Badger first, and my husband was going too. I went to Badger, saw Srila Gurudev in the famous blue room. This would be our second meeting. And I had this game I played with my father. Are you happy? He would say, are you happy? And I'd say, oh, yes, today I'm happy. And then when I get into that room with Gurudev, and he would look like he's going to say something to you and go, how are you? Somebody else, he would tease us and make us really want him to talk to us. Then he said, how are you happy? He said to me. And I was like, oh my God, that's the game my father plays with me. And all I could say was, oh, I'm happy right now. And I'm happy that I'm here in your presence. Because that was the truth. I wasn't happy otherwise. So Srila Gurudev was just showing me, I'm your father. I know you. Don't worry, I got you, Then I had to go do this job for my dad. So the whole time I was in this really beautiful, it was a hot springs place that my dad had put together in the Sierras. And I went there and it was a really quiet, peaceful place. And all I could do was just weep. I had just been with Gurudev and all I could do was weep. And my dad probably just thought I was a zombie or something. And my daughter was really young, so she was playing around. But the whole time I was there, really digesting what had just happened in Badger, the connection I had. And I had one more chance to see Gurudev. So I flew out of there. I must have drove 100 miles an hour all the way to Concord, where Gurudev was speaking in this one place. And I was so freaked out because I was breaking the limit all the way, driving like a mad woman. And I kept looking at the clock and I was just later and later. Finally got there about, I think, 45 minutes into that program. And Gurudev had just arrived. And so I had met him right in the foyer of the building. And I'm like, Gurudev, I made it. Like, because I know he knew, he just knew things. And so then we were able to, and he was so affectionate at that moment, yes. And I'm like, I thought I was late, but I was exactly on time. I was like super far out, And so, yeah, I mean, for me, it was a powerful resurgence of attraction to Krishna consciousness and a huge step up on philosophical understanding, of course, like the rest of us, understanding that the Jeev, I used to ask that question to my teacher. How is it that we were with Krishna and we ever left? Like, how is that possible? And when it says in Shastra, a person never falls from Vaikuntha. And, he couldn't answer these. He goes, I know what you're going to ask. Don't worry about that right now. That was always his answer to stuff. Don't worry about it, because they voted on that stuff. I mean, they voted on that Siddhanta. So they already, and there were just so many red flags for me in that whole situation. And I'm a philosophical minded person. I really wanted to understand. I'm curious and I wanted to understand a lot of questions. Of course, Srila Gurudev not only annihilated those questions like a sledgehammer on a fly, but created so many more that I'm too dumb to even ask. So I feel really nestled under the wing of Srila Gurudev. I feel very fortunate. When I met him in the first Camp Pakusa again in Maui, I knew he was leaving. And just before he left, the day before he left, I was already crying and walking around bewildered. Like, what am I going to do? I have to go back to that temple. Like, my heart is split open. I felt in the middle of brain surgery. You don't just walk up and, so I was crying and walking around really bewildered. And then here comes Srila Gurudev out there's a beautiful meadow in the middle. And then the beach was right over the little cliff. And I see Srila Gurudev come out. Someone pulls out this red chair and puts Srila Gurudev in the chair. And then there's nobody around him, like nobody. That's never seen. So then some devotee says, Gurudev wants to talk to you. And I'm like, what? So of course I ran over, fell on the ground. And he goes, I know you're sad because you think I'm leaving. Said, still, I think you should know, I will stay in your heart. I will be in your heart and I will come and help you in your dreams. And I was like, oh my God. I don't know if anybody experienced this, but when we were around Srila Gurudev, we felt like this honey pot fill up to your neck of just light, sunshine, happy feeling. And it would stay there for a while after Gurudev left. And then sometimes devotees would, still be around getting ready to leave places. So you would feel, okay, it's going to be okay. The separation doesn't have to be that hard. And then eventually, and then you'd see Gurudev again. And then that beautiful, warm, I can't describe it other than to feel like the sunshine would fill up to my neck when I was in his presence. And so after that darshan, oh man, I was just full to the brim. And I was like, I can't wait to meet this person again. I can't wait to just completely follow this person. And it would take me a couple of years to finally just pull away and just be with Srila Gurudev. And then he had never given me beads, and he had never given me a name, and I was Sevanandi for like 1 million years. So he used to call me Sevanandini, which I thought was funny, but it was, Sevanandini. And I thought maybe they got my name wrong, but now I realize he was affectionately calling me Sevanandini instead of Sevanandi. So I remember we were in Hilo, and Gurudev was in that little Hilo temple, and Vishnu and I, my daughter, were also, at the time she was Gorvani, we were like, why don't we get a name? And why don't he chant on our beads? And we were just feeling like, we should have come sooner for this thing. And he always called my daughter, what her name was, Shamagori at the time. Anyway, so this was so trippy. We walk in, and Mangala and her young daughter, Radhika, are there already. And we pay obeisances. And then Srila Gurudev, just like this mystical director, he goes, oh, what is your name? And he knows it's Radhika, He's like, what is your name? And she was too shy, so she turned into a little sea urchin. And her mother goes, oh, you named her Radhika, Gurudev. He goes, what? Her name is Radhika. He's like, such a high name? Where did you get this name? And then she goes, you gave it to her, Gurudev. It was like this transcendental play right in front of us, He knew what we were there for. He was totally playing a game with us. Like, how he would just make you want something so bad. And then you like, give it to me, like create this incredible greed. So he did that to us that day. And so immediately, of course, we just started crying. We're like, Gurudev, you never gave us a name, and you didn't chant on our beads. And he's like, okay, give me your beads. So he took our beads and he chanted on them. And then he named my daughter Vishnupriya, and he told her Vishnupriya is a wife of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, also very dear to Vishnu, like this, different meanings of that name. And then he named me Shyamapriya. He said, Shyamapriya, dear to Shyam, this is the name of Radhika. So I was like, oh my God, talk about my cup flowing over. It was just like an ecstasy. And then it wasn't until I walked away that I realized that was a total game he just played on me. He just did that because he knew that's why we were there. But he was always showing us this transcendental, amazing, just his vision and how he saw everything, how he was so far ahead of our game, we could never catch up, and just blow our minds with his different cities, which as a person who had an ISKCON guru, they don't have any cities. They aren't able to show you anything like that. And it's not like you're looking for it because you're supposed to be, adjusting your mind to what you have. And, but Srila Gurudev unabashedly showed you over and over, one city after another, so that you were like, I can have faith in this person. Somehow I know I can, and I don't question it at all. So I don't know if I'm out of time, but it's easy for me to run long. So
beautiful, Shyamapriya.
Beautiful.
I kind of had a link. There's a kind of link between your story and what Malati was saying from Murumba, because she was saying how Gurudev taught her about the two words were lobe and prayojan.
Mm-hmm.
And you totally exhibited lobe, like you were clearly like a fish that was just like drying up on the land and flipping around for the last gasp, but you still had lobe even though there was no water there. And
well
so
said.
He really played a beautiful Leela there for you. And I can only imagine. And I have a lot of us devotees who came straight to Srila Gurudev, who didn't go either via Srila Prabhupada or via ISKCON. I feel like we owe a debt, almost like we're the Chustafarians, where we're inheriting the wealth of the first generation created, so that we're, without you coming over from ISKCON to Gurudev, we would never necessarily have gotten the association we did with, not just with Gurudev, but with his nearest and dearest. And at the same time, Gurudev taught us how to see us all as being ISKCON at the same time. He was.
You said.
He taught us to be skeptical and to be awake, but not to be sectarian, which is really beautiful.
Exactly. I was always in the mood, actually. I first came to Krishna consciousness. I was going to Bhagavad Gita classes with my ISKCON guru. I was just coming forward. I was going way out of my way to do things. And so I had a natural greed because I was already on my hardcore search to find my path. I hit a rock bottom and I just knew God was personal and I needed to know that personal God. So when I was going to all these things, I started hearing from Sridhar Maharaj, and my mind was blown. Like my mind was blown. So the first person I asked for Harinam was Sridhar Maharaj, but at that time he was just getting ready to leave. So I had connection with certain devotees, and I always went to his temple. Even I would prefer that temple over our temple, and I would get in trouble sometimes for going there. But I would also bring his books to my teacher, and he also loved Sridhar Maharaj. He had a connection with Sridhar Maharaj, but it was more of a stamp of approval kind of connection. You know what I mean?
His
So
books
I was
are
also very open-minded. I felt like I missed the biggest quote in the world by missing for the Prabhupada.
yeah.
It used to devastate me. But Prabhupada appeared many times to me in dreams. It's like, don't worry, don't worry, don't worry. And I had so much darshan of Prabhupada that I knew, wow, this is real, this is far out. Prabhupada Sridhar Maharaj. And then when we were in Santa Cruz, still just had my daughter, she's a couple years old, we got the opportunity to hear and serve Srila Gurudeva Maharaj. My sister was married to a devotee, and Markandeya. And so Gurudeva Maharaj went through San Jose and had like a 3-hour program at this house, and they didn't have a cook. So I made everything and brought it. And then I got to personally serve Gurudeva Maharaj. And Gurudeva Maharaj saw my husband, who was working really hard and pretty out of it. He was like, what's your name, Prabhu? And he's like, Chiranjit. He goes, Chiranjit Prabhu, you disciple of Prabhupada? He's like, yes. And he goes, you sit here. And we didn't know what that meant. That was a hot seat. We didn't know.
Oh, yeah.
I had done all this service and my husband was on the hot seat. So I think what happened was that whole experience we had, because, you know, Gurudeva is very feisty when talking about trying to relish this world.
Yeah.
What? Like, you are Mudha. You can't relish anything, Mudha. And then you go, isn't it, Chiranjit? Isn't it? So my husband is usually nodding off in class, was like freaked out right in the middle of it. And I have to say that catapulted us over to Maui and into the association of people who were actually doing Krishna consciousness. Like literally right after that.
Did you say you had some direct association with Srila Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj?
I didn't. I had written a letter and I got a correspondence back.
Okay.
I had done a lot of service at his temple.
With Govinda Maharaj, yes.
No, with Sridhar Maharaj. I really wanted.
No, but you did get direct association with Govinda Maharaj.
I did have direct association and got to feed.
So you weren't on our program when we announced that we're doing a Guru Pranim 64-hour Zoomathon where we're celebrating 14 Nityalila Gurus, including Govinda Maharaj. So perhaps you'd like to honor him because he has.
That'd be wonderful.
Yeah, it'd be really great.
Yes, send me a time for that. I'm down.
Fantastic.
Yes, so I just think that the Sadhu Sangha that Srila Gurudev proved and showed us, and we didn't really realize it, but we read it everywhere in Shastra. Sadhu Sangha is everything. And so, you're a sadhu, you're a sadhu. No, when we meet an actual sadhu, like Srila Gurudeva Maharaj, there's a radical effect that takes place.
Yeah,
and again, Srila Gurudev, a radical effect takes place on your heart and your bhajan, and there's no question about it. Sadhu Sangha is everything. So.
Before we close out, can I just make a comment on your muffin story?
Yes.
So, because I have mamata over that story because I've been telling it for years.
No.
And also, it was so funny meeting you this year. And for years, I thought it was an Indian woman in Vrindavan who brought it until someone kindly pointed out to me that the buses wouldn't make muffins, which is fairly obvious.
They don't have ovens.
No, but there are some really sweet aspects of that story. One is just bring out the taste of the relationship between Madhav Maharaj and Gurudev, and how Gurudev would sort of play this leela of being frightened of Madhav Maharaj, who would be very strict, which was so cute and so beautiful.
Cheat him blatantly though at the same time.
So many stories like that. And the other thing also is I pushed that story out a bit by saying that Gurudev did to the muffin like he did to us. He didn't change anything necessarily on the outside. We were still the same body, but on the inside, our hearts have been totally transformed. So the muffin becomes like an allegory for our heart transformation. So that's my favorite story. In
the internal, so important.
And also, I forgot. I love how naughty Srila Gurudev always was, and I forgot to ask Malati what his Australian accent was like. Was he any good with his Australian accent? We can't hear you, my dear. We can't hear your Australian accent. You're on mute.
Okay. Okay, better? You can hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, yes, it was perfect. Very good, very broad, very nasally, Gurudev, that's what you call me, Gurudev, so perfect.
Because when I do an Australian accent, it kind of turns into something Irish. So, no, that's good.
No, of course, Gurudev's was perfect.
So, Shyamapriya, thank you. I'm glad you made it. I'm glad the timing worked out. That was really beautiful to hear that lobe, that intensity, that desire in your heart to continue in your bhakti, even though there was a lot of adversity. I can't imagine.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for allowing me to honor. And
Haribol. So before we close out with some bhajan, actually Angali is going to sing Jai Radha Madhava. I just want to play everybody a video on the world on World Sankirtan Day. So bear with me. I'm going to do a bit of technology fiddling around. Let's see how I go. And you can all have a good laugh if I mess it up. Here we go. Share screen. Share screen, share sound. Share. There we go. Here we go. Shamasundari there, or Manini, can you? Oh no, she's not. Actually, Shyamapriya, if you can hear the sound, as soon as you hear the sound, just put your thumb up to tell me that it's working. Okay, I'm just going to start now.
Here as well. You should, Ananda.
Please, if you are inspired on the 11th of July, Anjali, it's wonderful you're doing it in Phoenix. If any of you are inspired to organize a Sankirtan in your local town or city on the 11th, please go to www.worldsankirtanday.com. Or if you know someone, you may be a little shyer or not the organizer, you know someone who would love to organize it, please invite them. We don't mind if they're from Gurudev Sangha. We don't mind if they're from ISKCON. We don't mind if they're from Gaudiya Math. We don't even mind if they're a bunch of Roman Catholic nuns. In fact, someone is approaching some Roman Catholic nuns. In fact, we don't even mind if it's a herd of elephants. As long as it's a living entity, you're qualified. It's beautiful. And I wanted to also to announce that we have some wonderful endorsement videos going out from Srimati Shamrani Didi, Shripad Bhaktivedanta Madhav Maharaj, Srimati Didi, and also Shripad Bhaktivedanta Siddhanti Maharaj. And I've just received the video today, and this is really beautiful, and always brings tears to my eyes when we can really not just talk non-sectarian, but act non-sectarian, behave non-sectarian, present ourselves non-sectarian. His Holiness Radhanath Swami has sent us an endorsement video, which will endorsing World Sankirtan Day. So that's also going out. So this is just the start of all these walls breaking down, which are happening anyhow. So we're just getting into that wave of that. That was beautiful when you said, I can't remember who said, I think it was you, Shyamapriya, when Gurudev said, just burn the temple down. So it's like, for me, Gurudev saying, just burn these walls down. They are nonsense. They are illusory. We all chant the Maha Mantra. We're all together chanting the Maha Mantra. These differences are small. Let's overcome these differences and concentrate on what unites us. Because the world needs a lot of healing out there, and we're actually relevant and we can do a beautiful job. We don't care about the politics. We don't care about, we can be pro-COVID, anti-COVID, pro-vaccine, anti-vaccine. All this stuff is irrelevant. What really matters is we're pro-Hare Krishna. We're pro-Maha Mantra. We're one Chaitanya family. And that's our very, very simple, beautiful mission. And if anything comes in the way of that, we just have to get rid of that, because you keep one Chaitanya family, you keep Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, you keep Sankirtan, nothing can go wrong. Keep it beautifully simple. And we're hoping to, well, we're not hoping, we will have this as an annual event, the World Sankirtan Day, the International Day of Joy. So thank you, everybody. That was beautiful. We started off going over to Phoenix, and very enthusiastic and happy. You remind me of a dolphin, Angali. You got this dolphin mood about you. It's beautiful. And I love dolphins. And your sister Premadatri, we're very grateful to her coming online and sharing her stories. Thank you so much. And then we heard from Venu Gopal up in the rustic bushes or farmland of British Columbia, with his very mellifluous and sweet sharings of Gurudeva Memories. And then we went over to Australia, and really we enjoyed some serious stuff and a few laughs as well. Love that combination. Thank you, Didi. That was really beautiful from Malati Didi over in Moolumbar. And then we were fortunate enough to finish with Shyamapriya Didi, with her very, on each occasion I've spoken to you, Didi, I'm touched by your raw honesty and your, you don't edit much. You just say it as it is. In fact, you do well in Australia, actually. And I really appreciate that. So thank you, and thank you for exhibiting that lobe. So this is our 37th Pushpanjali now completed. The moon is now going to go down on the program, and we're going to finish with Jai Radha Madhava from Srimati Anjali Didi. Thank you, Didi.
Thank you for this opportunity, and happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to all fathers out there, including my Gurudev.
Including Lord Brahma then, right?
Why not?
Yeah.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavanabha Girivaradari Yashoda Nandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Bo Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Bol. Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Bol. Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Bol. Hari Bol, 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 Bol, Bol. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Bol, Bol. Jaya Radha, Jaya Radha. Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Bol. Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jai, so beautiful.
Oh, is that finished? That was beautiful. Where has she gone? Anjali, oh, there you are. That's so beautiful, Anjali. Thank you. That's so beautiful. Actually, I was under a scan. By the way, everyone feel free to unmute. I was under a scan last week because I've cleared of cancer. So every 3 months they have to scan me, and scanning is quite claustrophobic to say the least. Actually, it was Yashidari's idea. I did my invocations, and she said sing that song. So I did invocations and sung that song, and both of them about 7 times. I timed it. And by the time I'd done 7, the scan was done. And I just shut my eyes, didn't look at anything, flew in the sky. And it was really beautiful, very easy.
That's a really great tip.
Yeah, if you ever found yourself under the donut. I hope you never find yourself in the donut.
Yeah.
Okay.
Congratulations, by the way. So glad you're clear still.
So glad I'm still here, do you say?
Yeah, and clear of cancer. Yes.
Yeah, well, for now, you can't be too relaxed, but let's see.
No.
Okay, thank you so much.